Hey, good morning, everyone. Or at least it's morning over here. It's 10:30 in the morning over here on the West Coast. We're on Pacific time. I want to welcome everyone who's joining us right now. We're going to give everybody just a couple of seconds to get into the room. But this is the first time that we've went live on Facebook with our live Q&A that we've been doing for the last couple of months. We usually do it on GoToMeeting, and there will be a few people who will be joining us from GoToMeeting as well. So we want to welcome everybody who's on GoToMeeting that's joining us right now. And so here's the way that the Q&A works. I'm at your disposal. So whatever questions that you guys have that are business related or coaching related, we want to be able to answer any of those. Any stuck places that you're experiencing, trying to get your business up and going and everything. Best way that you can do it is to pop in a comment right here into the Facebook Live. So right under the video, you'll see the little comments area. Just pop in your questions in there. We'll pull them up on the screen and we will answer them. And so also, if you're joining us from GoToMeeting, you can do the same thing. You can either ask your question live by turning on your microphone, or you can use the chat widget. So what questions do you guys have for us for this week? I know that I had a couple that were sent in a little bit ahead of time, hoping to be a part of this. So if I don't see any live ones come up here in the next second, then I'm going to go to those questions that were sent a little bit earlier. And just as I see people's names on here, I want to welcome Jeff, Resonating Purpose, Robbie. How's it going? Welcome to the live Q&A. So what questions do you guys have for us this week? Let me go to this one that was just sent. I'm not going to be able to pull it up, unfortunately, but I'm going to be able to answer it anyway. And this question sent by Chandler. Chandler says, hey, Paul, I have a project I'm putting together for the American veterans to get some coaching for free from new coaches who need experience. The duration would be agreed upon by both parties. This could become something that could happen for all countries in the world, for all countries, if the worldwide coaches would be interested. Your input would be awesome. Well, I think that's great. Matter of fact, anything that's helping our veterans is huge to me. The biggest thing that you're going to run into, here's a couple of things that I'll throw out there for all of you who are listening. And it's not singling out any particular group of people, but here's what my experience is. Free coaching in general does not help people. When it comes down to your business and you're coaching people, you'll notice that free coaching doesn't really help people. People no show, they don't follow through. There's a lot of those kinds of things. And so I've never been an advocate of free coaching within your business. Now, if you have a program that's trying to help some new coaches that are just trying to get experience and everything else, then that could be great, but you're still going to have to figure out some kind of a way to monetize the thing. I understand if the veterans themselves are not paying for the help, but one thing that I will tell you, because we've had some coaches that are currently working with veterans or are developing some programs for them, and they're trying to move that through the system. Just know that you're going to have to get your project details together really, really clearly. They're going to have to pay for it. So obviously, the administrative costs and everything else that's involved, every program is going to cost money. So you're going to have to really put that presentation together, and just know that it takes a little while to get those kinds of things approved. I only know this because we've had some coaches who have done it, and it is a little bit. I wouldn't say that the red tape is so much; it's that the communication is pretty bad going through. And if you can find somebody who's a little farther up the chain that can help you get things in the right place. But that's what I find in a lot of cases when you're trying to work with the government, that there is just really poor communication and the steps aren't clear. The veterans have an immense amount of programs already for a lot of different things, but in many cases, veterans don't even know what programs are available to them because the communication's so bad. So I think, obviously, I love the idea of helping veterans. You are going to have to fund this thing because free is never free. And free never really helps anyone. And so you'll have to, let's put some dollar amounts to this thing. How are you going to fund it? And And the other thing is too, is it's having to define coaching really, really clearly, especially if you've got rookie coaches who are coming in there. So there's just a lot of additional questions in there, but I love the creative thoughts and especially the heart behind it. Keith said, is certification a requirement to coach in most states? We are in, matter of fact, I can pull that question up now that it's being asked on here, and you guys can see it. Keith, thanks for the question. Certification is not required because we're in an unregulated industry, and that's beautiful for us as coaches, because we're not just coaches, we are business people. And anytime that there is a lot of business regulation and there's a lot of red tape, we have a lot of people who are coming from a counseling therapy background. They are the most educated people in the world, and they have an extraordinary amount of requirements on them all the time just to do their job. They started their career wanting to just help people, but they're finding that they're making less and less money while also having to check off a lot of boxes with regard to medical insurance and the government and a lot of other things. And so it's very burdensome for them to be able to just help people. So we have a lot of people coming from a counseling therapy background into coaching because it's regulation free. Now, let me say this. The people who do not get trained and certified, obviously, we believe in training and certification. So we're in an unregulated industry. Can you go and just say, I'm a coach tomorrow and do that? You can. Here's what I find people all the time. I saw it all the time in my local area in San Diego of people who just suddenly they were coaches, but they would just kind of show up. They might get one client and then they were in and out. And here's why. Because if you don't value coaching enough to actually invest in it, if you don't believe in it enough to invest in yourself, you're not going to be successful in it. So it's the same thing, is that when there's not skin in the game, people don't have a value for it and they don't invest in it. And so I'm always going to be a big proponent of getting trained and certified. There's a lot of amazing programs that are out there for training and certification. Difference maker for our program is that we're one of the few schools that have a heavy focus on business development. And so not only do our coaches make more money than other coaches, and here's the reason why, because most kind of give you a certificate and you move on and you don't know how to get a client. Our coaches know how to get clients. The ones who go through our Jumpstart program, they're making between $250 to $1,000 per session working with people. Because even though we want coaching proficiency, we want our coaches to thrive. And so we invest in those things. So hopefully that was a fairly clear answer to your question over there. Let's see what other questions that I see on here. Laura says, how to go about my first clients? Well, I think it really, first of all, what we have to do before you go about to try to find your first clients, one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get really clear on who you want to work with. We do this exhaustively in Jumpstart when coaches come in. A lot of times we don't really know who we want to work with. So first thing is that, and I'm really a stickler on this and I'll tell you why. The first thing is that you need to choose a target market. So choose a group of people that you want to work with. That's the first thing. And not only are you choosing this target, you need to do your homework on them. And I'm putting these up here because these are really important steps because we just really want you guys to be successful. So please take this to heart, that if you want to get clients, at least look at these beginning things. First of all, you're going to have to choose a target. Some coaches are like, well, I can coach anybody. Well, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Because here's what I find is that there's a group of people that you are more passionate about than others. That's all of us. We've had a background of great negative experiences with people. I don't work out of my coaching practice out of my woundedness with people and avoid certain people. But what I do find is that there are some people that we just have chemistry. You wouldn't marry every person that's on the planet because you wouldn't even be in a romantic relationship with people unless you have chemistry, right? So there are certain groups of people that we'll find we have certain chemistry with. We connect. We're very passionate about them. Meeting with them, connecting with them is very motivational for us, brings us to life. You deserve to work with people that you're passionate about working with. And they, your target market, deserve to work with a coach who believes in them, who's passionate about them and everything else. So that first step before going out the door and trying to find your first clients is you need to choose who you're going to work with. And when you're doing homework on them, this is what's going to bring us to number 2. Your homework is going to help you define your niche. So you're going to have to choose a niche. Now, there's a lot of people who try to be generalist life coaches out there, and they're having trouble getting clients because they're too general. So not only will you have some people who say, well, I can work with anybody. Okay, you could, but it doesn't mean that you should. And when you say something like, oh, well, I can help anybody with any kind of thing. They just need to sign up with me and I can, yeah, technically coaching has an application for everything. And you could, the models, the steps that you bring people through and everything can help anyone with anything. That's true. But it doesn't, what we're trying to do, let me write this big green door. Here's what your goal is with everything, with anything that you do marketing wise and everything else. This is the first barrier for every coach starting out. It's this door. On the other side of the door are your clients. But and the problem with the door's thin. It's not like a big gate or any of those other things. It's a door, and it's not even locked. The problem is that the door's closed until you define who you want to work with. So define who you want to work with opens the door, right? The other thing is your niche. And when I say niche, this has got to be really simple. There's some coaches, if you go on Instagram today, go on Facebook, go anywhere you want to go and look up life coaching websites, and they are as nicely as I can say this, because I've never met a coach that was not a kind, generous person. But when you go on there, it's a disaster, because in about 3 seconds, you should know who this person works with, their target, and what problems that they help people solve. And what I say is the easiest way to define your niche is, what is the simple desire? The one simple desire, not 30. What's the simple desire that your target market wants? Because that's what will open the door. Opening the door for you is essential. And the only way that you can get the door open, the only combination to turning the knob is that what your people want, and they know that you know what they want. And so when you're having conversations about what do people want, that's really clearly defined. So does someone want to make more money? Do they want to have more work-life balance? Do they want to have more intimacy and relationship with their spouse? Whatever that thing is, and a lot of coaches want to be stubborn. For the rest of you who are listening, don't be like a lot of coaches who come to me and they're so worried about leaving people out, or that there's not going to be enough people to work with them. You only need 5 people to become a 6-figure coach. If you are pricing yourself right and you have personal value and worth, you only need 5 to become a 6-figure coach. It's not really that hard. So don't worry about trying to get 50 in your coaching practice. Think about who you really want to work with, because you'll do your best to work with them. And let's clarify a niche, because here's the deal. Let's say that we're in a network of people, because it's really going to bring us into step 3. How do we begin? You're going to begin with who you know. And this is another barrier that a lot of coaches create for themselves. Once I know what my target market is, and when I've clarified my niche, I'm going to begin with the people who I know, so that my marketing message is always going to be really, really simple. It's always going to focus on who my people are and what they want. And I'm going to always stir that. I'm going to trigger people emotionally with those things, because people make emotional decisions. It's not manipulation. It's that everybody wants something, should want something if they don't. And I need to show that I know what they want, whatever it is. People, here's the reality. 75% of people in the United States hate their job, according to Gallup. Half of the population is really unsatisfied with their lives. And that's not okay. That's for us to help people solve. How do we solve it? Well, this is how. We need to pick the things, the people that we want to help with, and the problems that bring us to life. And so, what are the challenges? What are the obstacles? And so, when we say, what is their simple desire? There are obstacles to them getting that. And so, when we start with the people who we know, this is what we do. We define it, and they can open the door. So, let's say that I was just trying to be general, and I was like, well, I'm a life coach. I can help with anyone. Well, that doesn't help anyone open the door for you. People who know you can't open the door because they don't know who you work with. I can work with anybody. Well, that's not specific enough. It won't turn the knob. But what if I said, I work with business people? Well, that's a start. That's like, oh, I realized that Laura works with business people. So now when I meet a business person, maybe it's coming a little bit closer to this door being open, because we want reductions, on opportunities to open our business and for those people to get what we have. But here's the other thing. The other thing is that not only do we want to have just the target, but the more specific we are about this target. What if I said I'm a startup business coach? Now that is that much more specific. Anybody who comes on my website, anybody who goes on my social media, anybody who knows me knows then now this has gotten really clear. A specific group of business people, because not everybody's starting up businesses, but a lot of people are, because the economy, we're killing it in the economy right now. This is the best time to start a business. I started during the recession. That was a terrible time to start a business. Right now is amazing. And so now there's a lot of people who are doing it. And so now when people are hearing, oh, starting up a business, now it's getting a little bit more specific. It's getting clearer. The clearer I can be on what people desire and what their obstacles are and who those people are, that's what opens the door for what we do. Start with the people that you know. If you're going to be a traditional coach and it's going to be in your local area, then that means you're going to begin networking with that group of people. Build a network. Don't start with people that you don't know. There's a lot of coaches who do that. They start with, well, I've got a brand new business. And what do? They start going to networking groups where they don't know anyone. They start doing this, and that's working the hard way. You should be able to bring home 95% of what you make in your first month as a coach. This is not an expensive prospect, but it does require you to be strategic about what you do. This is strategic. Most coaches are not strategic of defining the target, my niche, and now I've got to just find those people. But I start with the people who I know. Even if you think that you only know 100 people, we dial in that message and we enlist the support. I have to have a mindset that believes everybody wants to help me. And that's an abundance mindset, and there's nothing weird about that. I want to believe that people want to help and open the door for my business, but I've got to help them. And that means that my message has to be simple. Don't try to sell coaching. For any of you who are thinking about trying to sell coaching, no one understands what coaching is. It is not your job to educate and define coaching for anyone, because no one will ever understand what it is. Define who and define the problem and define what people want. In the fact that you have a solution to help people get what they want, and you will have clients. That will open the door consistently for your business. So hopefully that made sense for you guys. Jeff says, what are good books to read when beginning the coaching journey? There are a lot that's out there. One of my mentors is Philip Sandahl, and he has a book called Coactive Coaching. Now, here's the deal, is that there's a lot of different coaching models that are out there. But I really respect Philip as being one of the fathers of coaching. I went through some of his training for team coaching and some of those things, and we're friends, and he's an amazing guy. So I would look at that. There's a guy named Tony Stoltzfus. Believe I'm pronouncing his name right. His website's coach22.com. He's got some great books that are out there. Just as a disclaimer, but he is a faith-based coach. So Some of you aren't interested, may not be like faith-based people or religious people, and that's fine. His stuff is gold, though. So he is a faith-based coach, and he might reference that or whatever, but everything that he's got in his books, there's a book called Coaching Questions that I can't remember how it's defined, but it's a coaching questions book. Brilliant book. Every coach should have that on their shelf. And so, yeah, I really encourage you for anyone to look at his stuff. Raffaello says, "Hi, Paul, which is the fastest way to get my first coaching clients?" Well, I really believe it begins with the people that you know. That's the fastest. Now, here's the thing, is that we all need to be in for the long haul and for a commitment on this thing. I believe that really any coach, if they want to, and the commitment's there, that they can really get up and going and have clients within 90 days. I really believe that. I did it. I was very risk averse. I'd never done business before. I graduated from a program that cost me thousands of dollars. They didn't help with getting clients because they didn't think that was their job. And then I had to sort it out and try to figure it out. And I did. And the thing is that, and this is the important thing, is that what is the fastest way may be the wrong question that we're asking. And here's why. I think the big question that we really need to ask, and I'll stick this over here because this might come up again in a little while, and I want to be able to reference it. The biggest question is how can I serve, sorry, my handwriting's terrible, my target market? And here's the kicker: today. Now, this is a different mindset because a lot of people if you're thinking of trying to go get clients, you're probably going to fail. Only because, and you will get some clients, but you're going to fail in terms of how many clients you could have gotten, because that's where the focus is. So if I go to a networking group, I'm going to be focused on, I need to get clients, when we're thinking about all of these kinds of things. What I really want to think about is I want to try to figure out how I can be of benefit and value to people. I want to think about this all the time. And there's a key word that a lot of people in business don't understand, and coaches have to understand it. And make sure I don't misspell it. And it's this word right here, is relationship. We are in the relationship business. And bless the people who can sell. I'm not one of them. I'm in the relationship business. It's all about trust. If we were going to define, I do this in one of our workshops. Hopefully you guys can see this. Here's how a coaching relationship is born. The bottom area is trust. The middle area is likability. And the top portion is expertise. Notice that that's just a point. A lot of coaches go and get certified and trained, and they think, oh, everybody wants to work with me because of my expertise. No, it's not true. Where our focus has got to be, what can I do to build trust? What can I do to increase likability? Well, coaches are likable because we ask brilliant questions. We help people go there. We really help people get barriers out of the way. We're naturally curious, and we do those kinds of things. So my job every day is, how can I serve my target market, and how can I move this relationship forward in a way that builds trust and likability? There's a lot of ways that we do that. Part of it, believe it or not, use social media to do that. And here's the thing that I'll say for those of you who want to be online coaches: be patient and be strategic and be willing to do this. When I say today, how can I serve my target market today? This should be something that you're thinking about all the time, having a plan for, and doing every day. This is not just a show up once a week and hope that I can get clients out of this thing. That's not, but I will tell you that I launched my coaching practice, and I never got to work more than 10 hours a month when I was working full time, and I was making more money in 10 hours a month than I was working full time. I don't think that you need a lot of time, but you do need productivity. You need to know the steps that you need to take, and you need to be committed to doing those things. And one of those steps, after you get these things out of the way, I know what my target market is, I know what my niche is, then I need to go and in this group of people, Beginning with who I know, I've got to serve this group of people. I've got to find where they're at, and I need to have a plan for connecting with them. Now, know this is that what we're talking about here is 5 to 8 personal touches. So this is my goal, is that before somebody becomes a client, I need to move this trust and likability factor up, and it's going to be 5 to 8 personal touches. So my job is every day, how can I serve people? How can I move forward in relationship with people? And how that means that I've got to get 5 to 8 personal touches on people. Now, if I'm really good at building relationship, which means that when I show up at a networking group, I'm thinking, how can I serve this group of people? How can I build a relationship with people? How can I just connect with new people? I'm not sitting around thinking about selling. And if I do that, then it opens the door very quickly, because people don't want to be sold to. I want to be the person that adds value and benefit to people. And when I show that, it actually brings my value up as a coach, because I can charge a lot more money when I've added value and benefit to people. And so these are the things, I do. Here's the thing. I'm a very ambitious person, and I always was. And I always had as many clients as I wanted. And these days, I don't really want to take more than like 5 clients at any given time, because I have a lot of different things going on, and I work 25 hours a month, and I don't really want to do more than that. But here's the thing, is that I've defined that, and I've crafted it in such a way that I can go anywhere, and I can get clients in any place within like 30 days. But I know I've surrendered the fact that I'm not in lack. I'm not in need for clients, and that need doesn't get fixed when you get more clients. It gets fixed with understanding that there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, and I really only need a handful of people to work with me, and I could have hundreds of clients in any given day. That really is the truth. And so when I come from that standpoint, I'm thinking of, how can I serve people? Because I'm going to trust that relationship. A coaching relationship is born the day that someone has a problem, they want to solve it, and trust and likability and expertise kind of collide. It's like the day, that's when a coaching relationship is born. So sometimes there's trust and likability, but people aren't ready yet, or they don't know that you have an answer to their problem. So that's how things are kind of born. Hopefully that answered your question, though. But think every day, and when I say strategy, most coaches don't have a strategy. Most coaches are just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. They don't know what they're doing. They make 5 posts on social media, and then they go dark for 30 days, and it's like there's nothing consistent. Again, it doesn't require a lot of hours of your time, but it does require you being consistent and saying, here's my target market, and here's my niche, and here's where I'm going to go find them. So if it's on social media, then fine, but have a consistent plan every week of how you're going to reach out to those people. You can schedule those posts. You can do a lot of different things to be able to do that. If you want to be a traditional coach that's face-to-face in your local area, find a networking group, find some strategic partners to work with, and be a face, be a person everybody needs to know. There's easy things that you can do. One of those is, hey, go into a networking group. They always have administrative issues. Take on all of the communication responsibility from that group. I can get everybody, and this isn't costing me anything. I can get everybody's cell phone number. I can get everybody's email. I can get everybody's business website. I can know everyone. And it's funny that I can just take on an administrative task of emailing everyone, but who knows everybody? You instantly know everybody, rather than having to be awkward, hanging around the punch bowl the entire time during a networking group or whatever. I can come in, I can make myself an asset. It's not costing me any money. It's not costing me a lot of time, but it is allowing me to serve people. See, serving people isn't just I'm trying to coach people all the time. I'm trying to serve them. And it also doesn't mean that every time I make a post on social media, it's about my business. I can take pictures of myself, my dog, whatever I'm doing. Why? Because it's about building trust and likability with people. I want to be an approachable person. And so these are important things. We go into great detail on this stuff in Jumpstart. If anybody is interested in Jumpstart, we do training and certification. But when you start your coaching practice, it's about 90% business. It's about 10% the skills that you learned in coach training school. It's why we launched the Jumpstart program. Jumpstart is a 20-module business development roadmap. So we show you the A to Z on how to get your business up and going. We supplement that with a live group call every Wednesday. So this kind of gives you an example, but we go in a little bit more detail in terms of case studies of how do we want to make sure that our coaches don't get stuck along the way. We want to help you get clients and attract clients as quickly as possible. And we know the barriers. Fortunately, there's not that many barriers that keep people from working with us. There's maybe like 7 or 8. And we can really very quickly, with a few questions, help you hone in on what's the stuck place, and then get a strategy for it, and then work that strategy. We have an online community, so you can get feedback on what you're working on. If you've got a website up and going, we get feedback on those things. You can role play with other coaches. There's a lot that's in there, and the program's only $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment, and you do get trained and certified with it. Everything's online at your fingertips. As soon as you enroll, you have access to everything. And the group call is every Wednesday that's live. If you miss it, we record it. You have it accessible within 24 hours, so you can send questions in if you ever miss it. So it's a brilliant program that's helped hundreds and hundreds of coaches in the last 3 years since we launched that program. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me see what other questions that we have in here. Anybody on GoToMeeting that has a question? If anybody's listening as a caller that called in and you want to ask a question, you can go ahead and belt that out if your microphone's unmuted, or you can use the chat widget and GoToMeeting, and we'll check that really quick. Johanna says, during Jumpstart, do you coach coaches define your niche? What we do in Jumpstart is, I told you there's a 20-module business development roadmap. So there's 20 core modules of Jumpstart that you have access to immediately, because all our programs are online and on demand. That's why our pricing is a little more affordable, because 98% of our students work full-time, so they need to have an online and on-demand program. So what we do in the first starts is we give you, so these things that I'm talking about, choosing a target market, choosing a niche, you actually have discovery exercises that you will work through to help you define what these things are. And there's a lot of different things that we can look at. Most coaches are starting in their 40s. Some are starting a little bit older. Some are starting a little bit younger. But honestly, all of us have a history that we come from, and there's some specific questions that you've probably never been asked before to help you dial in. Well, who are the people that I really enjoy working with? We can look back, and we can look at and even look in the present of who are those people and help you dial that thing in, and then help you dial in your niche as well. So that's the first probably like 5 modules of Jumpstart are really dealing with this, and then helping you get really, really good messaging and branding so that people understand who it is that you help and what problems that you help people solve. So we do help you dial that thing in really well. And if you get stuck, you can always send us your info or join a group call, and we'll answer those questions during it to help you really hone in and define it. But you'll never be stuck. So that's what I'd say, is that, don't fear what you don't know. There's a lot of people who don't get started because they think that there's a lot of how-to questions that they don't have answered or whatever. No one's how-to is their problem. No one's skills are their problem. The problem is that a lot of times we're not just taking the steps that we need to take to start getting our business going or to even get started as coaches. And the cool thing about Jumpstart is it gives you that layer of accountability and support that I think a lot of people need. There's a lot of people who want to be coaches, but they won't, pull the trigger on the thing that's been in their heart burning, that won't go away, won't subside, and it won't until they take the steps towards that. And so if there's any way that we can help you do that, we would love to, Joanna. Let's see what other questions that I see on here. Barbara says, say you're coaching a specific demographic through a given life transition. Different people may want different things or have different goals. So how do we define their simple desire? Good question. Everybody's going to have one, and it's true that people will want different things, right? Everybody, when we boil it down, is going to have, the majority of people are going to have one simple desire. So in transition, whatever that is, whether I'm leaving a bad relationship, I'm doing a career transition or whatever, I will boil this thing. There is something that people want. Do people want more control over their life? Do they want more time? Do they want to start their own business? Whatever flexibility, whatever kind of thing that it is, there is going to be one very clear desire above everything else. They may want 5 other things, but there's going to be one that rises to the top that speaks to the vast majority of people. Now, it doesn't mean that people can't have other desires and you can't speak about them as well. But the more things that you add, the more things that more ways that you confuse people. People are very simple. Marketing that's done really well is very simple. We need to know what this person wants and what's the obstacle, and what is the thing that they hate and it's just standing in the way, and what's the solution. And so while I know that there are some people who want other kinds of things, and the reality is that what we want to do is we want to get to that first thing, and then we can get to some of the other things that they want in their life as well. And that's natural part of coaching. If I did a wheel of life with any of us, granted, not every area is going to be at a 10. Some areas we're going to find, but they're going to work on the one thing that's also going to lead to the other, or it's going to feed the other. But we need to start with the simple desire. And I believe that we start with the thing that is most common. And when I say most common, you start with the one thing that all of your target market wants, and it's and 80% of those people want that, or whatever. So hopefully that makes sense and helps you. Red says, do you have to be very academically knowledgeable, or could you use your tried and true experiences as a life coach? I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question because I'd have to define, what do you mean by academically knowledgeable? Here's what I will say. The coaching, and this is the good, bad, and the ugly. I'm really straightforward. We put things all out on the table so that we know. I've been in coaching for a long time. I started out as a coach in 2007. And, when I was getting trained and certified and all of those other kinds of things. And I had a background in helping people and everything else. Here's the bad part of the coaching world. The bad part of the coaching world is that they tend to love to flaunt their credentials and be too academic. And that's great to have a lot of training and a lot of education. But I know some that have spent thousands on their training and education that have never started their coaching practice. And that's because but they're always doing training. They're always going to workshops. They're always investing in getting another credential. And so we believe in training and we believe in certification. It's what we do, or at least it's a big part of what we do as a school. But my role and my passion is to see coaches thrive. And so here's what I would say on that. Everybody needs to get trained and certified. That's a no-brainer. Everybody should go through that because you'll be a better coach. And if you really believe in it, you'll invest in it. At a certain point, though, I do see some coaches that are on the hamster wheel when it comes to getting training and certification. And when I say that is glorified procrastination. They make themselves feel busy by tweaking their website all the time and going to workshops and going to mixers with other coaches, but it's not helping them get clients. So what I would say in agreement with you is that, listen, at a certain point, you know enough. You need to get started. Some of the things that you're going to be doing as a coach is going to come from a perspective from your background. You're going to have extraordinary wisdom and discernment with the people who are in front of you. And some of those things you can't really teach people. I can teach you what coaching is and what it's not, and to make you stay in the coaching lane and not go into counseling or advising lane. But there are going to be a lot of things that you come from that when this person is in front of you, I can't teach intuition. I really can't. But a lot of times we've never learned to rely on those things or to lean into them. And so that's the times that the academic stuff can kind of get in the way. So I agree with you, and from this perspective, that at a certain point, people have got to just start, and you can find out what you don't know. Even bad coaching helps people. I know that sounds kind of weird, but there's too many coaches who are not getting started because they're looking for perfection before they start. The coaches who are waiting to be perfect before they start will never start. So at a certain point, we all have to define what is our threshold for I'm certain enough, I know enough, I've experienced enough to start. And that might never get higher than like 65, 70, 75% for some of you. At a certain point, we've just got to get started. And then I can find what are the challenges and what do I need to learn. And if I need to go back and brush up on some training or some skills and asking questions or whatever, then I know what I'm working with. But let's get people up and going and starting. My job, it's not that now I have a different mindset about this than some people in coaching. Our job is not really to police you. Our job is to give you the keys to the car and say, take that bad boy out and get this thing started. My job is never to police people and be looking for things that are wrong. That is a bad mentality. My job, even as a coach, is to look for the greatness in people and call that out in them. So hopefully that's encouraging to you. I do believe you need to get trained and certified, but then you need to start. And so you'll have to determine you're not going to be 100% comfortable before you start either. So if you guys are waiting on that, there's always going to be fear to walk through because you've never done this before. But the reality is that you have absolutely helped people before. You have used all of these skills that you are learning to hone in coaching at some point in your life. And that's why you want to be a coach. Coaching chose you. You didn't choose coaching. You've been helping people your whole life. People come to you for a reason. And so now we just maybe the fear is, will people pay for something that I've been doing for free? And what I'll tell you is absolutely. The reason why people are coming to you is because you've got skill and you're amazing and your heart's in the right place. They trust you and they like you. And you've shown a certain level of expertise to help with your problem. It's no different than getting somebody to pay for it as somebody coming to do it to you for free, except that you're saying, I charge for this. So hopefully that's helpful. And if there's any follow-up questions of that, I'll definitely answer. Pastor Sylvia says, hello, I just want to say a very big thank you for your support and your useful advice. You are so welcome. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see what other questions do we have on here. Let's see. Archana says, I wish to ask, once I do the free coaching modules, how do I get certification? So in our program, you'll notice that there's a few different tracks when you go on our enrollment page. One is we do have a free life coach training course. And you can go through that, and it allows you to kick the tires on becoming a coach. And if this is a good fit for you, and if we're a good fit for you as a school, we want to for us, we want to earn trust and likability with you as well. And so all you have to do at that point, if you've completed those modules, is just to add on the exam. When you score above 70% on the exam, then you've earned your credential. So for those of you who are specifically interested in getting certified, I don't want to do big sales pitch on this thing because I want to actually answer people's questions. But let's see if I can pull this up just like really. Is there a way I can pull this up really quick? I don't think that there is right now. But here's the deal. The Life Coach Training Institute, we created an online, fully on-demand program for our students that are 98% of them work full-time. What we did in going online, because we used to do live training and it's really expensive. Venue, paper, all of that other stuff does cost thousands of dollars, live training and everything else. What we did is we removed all of those barrier costs and we went online. Now, we can still charge a lot of money for what we do, but we don't. But our life coach certification course is only $195, 10 modules that you complete with coach training activities, because you need to put those things that you're learning in practice. So you're learning so that there's coaching proficiency that's being learned. And it concludes with the final exam. When you score above 70% on the exam, then you've earned your credential. You also get a credential through our partner, Credible, that you can market your credential. That service alone is worth about $600 a year, and you're able to integrate your credential into all of your social media, into LinkedIn. We also give you a free listing on lifecoachmatch.com. That's all included in that $195. But if you need the business development help, you've got an option with our Jumpstart program. It's $97 a month. It's everything that I described a while ago, but it bundles with the Life Coach certification course. So we have a 3-month minimum commitment in this program. You do get trained and certified. But you also get the 20-module business development program. You get weekly group calls with us so that you're getting mentored. If you have any stuck places, we help you get unstuck. We make sure that you're not like I was for the first X amount of months trying to figure this thing out and wandering aimless. You'll always know what your next step is. And so we help you clarify that and define it. We have an online community that's full of coaches that they role play with one another. They get feedback on what they're working on. So what we've done is we've created a comprehensive program. What we've done is that we understand all what the simple desire is and the challenges that all new coaches have starting out. We've literally worked with thousands of coaches. For those of you who don't know, we are the largest life coach training program in North America, and we're also the #1 online program. And so this is what we do in that. It's $97 a month, 3-month minimum commitment. If you don't cancel, it'll continue billing after that. But we only require those 3 months because we want to walk you through that first part of your journey so that you can be successful. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see. All right. Sunshine says, how do you get past that fear of starting when it comes to beginning your coaching practice? Because we all know that we can possess the knowledge when it comes to coaching, but we lack that experience. We fear putting ourselves out there. Exactly. All of us had it. So let me normalize this. Fear is normal. It doesn't mean that nothing is wrong. But let me see if I can draw a picture of this. And I wish I could pull it up on the screen, but I don't know that I can because we just started using a new service, and I know you can, but I don't know if we can. Okay. So let me give you a picture of everybody you're going to work with as a coach, all the people you're going to work with, and really everybody who's on the planet. Okay. So let's say, and I don't know how good of a picture I'm going to draw, but this will help you just kind of like visualize it. Imagine this is a cliff. Hopefully everybody can see that, okay? This is a cliff, right? I want to get to the other side. The other side, for all of you who want to become coaches, there's a lot of different things that are over here on the other side. Why do people want to be coaches? Well, we can define that. A lot of coaches want purpose, because we know that we're called to something greater. I don't believe your story makes any sense unless you're called to something greater. A lot of people want to do some kind of a job that's gone, that gives them purpose, that's much more meaningful than what we're doing. So that's one thing. A lot of people want control, or we can say another thing is freedom to choose whether that, and that means that you can design your own schedule. About 85% of our students are women, and about 75% of coaches are women. So women are dominating this, and so a lot of people are like, I already have a lot of things going on, but I have a lot of different priorities. I have kids and some of those other things, and I'd love to have more control over my time, and I'd love to have more freedom. Another thing that people talk about, and it's all related, is obviously it's going to be finances, because finances open up a lot of these different things. But these are a few of the big things that people want. So it's always important to help people understand, well, this is what our coaches want. So what did we, and so what you said is perfect. What you said was, but there's still fear, because even if you can know, because you're exactly right. Because see, like, if I was trying to build a bridge, I can say that this first step is training and certification. And you know what I can do in the second part? I can give you business development. So those are the parts. But what is that last? And obviously we made it affordable, because that's kind of like a sticking point for a lot of people being started. But this gap right here, because every time you work with somebody as a client, we've got to close the gap between what they want. This is the fear gap. And the fear gap, we just need to define, first of all, what the fear is. Here's the thing. Fear is normal. It's always going to be there. It's been there for every coach that's ever started. It was a fear for me. That's not going to go away. It's not going to go away before you start. But here's what we want to stay away from. A lot of coaches not knowing how to cope with that fear and deal with whatever it is. It could be inward disqualifiers. What I tell people to do, and I'm going to end up doing a mindset kind of thing coming up soon, and I'm working on some of those things right now. One of the things that you can do is you can get into the emotions and try to figure out what's coming up with them. What are the words, what are the beliefs, and some of those things, because you need to arrest those belief systems, because right now they're keeping you from moving forward. Everybody has these things. If I was to draw we know what this little cliff thing in the gap is. There's another thing that I would say that most of us don't realize, that if this is water and this is an iceberg, most of you have seen that picture where they say this is just the tip of the iceberg, that 90% of the iceberg is below the surface. A lot of people think that we make analytical decisions to do things, but the reality is that all of you know that you've been wanting to be a coach for a long time. You've been afraid to go get clients. Maybe you already got trained and certified. You're afraid to get started. There's a lot of this other kind of stuff. This is what's functioning for everyone, is below the surface, which is what I would call programs. Yesterday, you had 50,000 thoughts. Today, you will have 50,000 thoughts. Yesterday, 85% of the thoughts you had the day before. Today, you have the same thoughts. 85% of the thoughts you have today, you had yesterday. And most of the belief systems that are going on there are negative. They're negative beliefs about yourself, your situation, and everything else. This is just standard. This is baseline for everyone. Programs are meant to help us. Programs are things like intuition. They are, their beliefs, their values. There's a lot of different things that are functioning below the surface, and they make 99% of your decisions every day. Here's how I know that. People started in the gym in January. You're going to turn over a new leaf. You know that I think it was 98%. Or not 98, 92% of the decisions that were made in January, those New Year's resolutions weren't followed through. People who started in the gym in January already not going to the gym. And matter of fact, most of them quit going to the gym by the time February rolled around. I have a friend of mine who is a personal trainer. And I was talking about the fact that at our gym, I work at a little bitty fitness facility. That's why I'm not going profile. So you can't see that I haven't been in there in a while. But anyway, I noticed they're always selling memberships all day long, and it's a tiny gym. And I was like, how can they keep selling memberships? And he says it's because they know that 85% of people are never going to darken the door of the gym. Now, this is crazy, because he said 85% of people hate their jobs, but they're not changing them right now. What is it that's going on? See, willpower, which functions up here on this high level that everybody can see, is great, but it's weak. And it won't allow people to be consistent. What's really functioning in people are belief systems. There's old programming. And programming is supposed to help you get from point A to point B, kind of like this. If you drive your car and you go to Walmart or wherever, and you get to Walmart, and then you come out of Walmart and you can't remember where you parked. What was happening? You completely forgot that. You don't even remember. You weren't even present from that drive from your house to Walmart, or to work, or wherever, or back home. And you drove at a high speed, and you passed people at a high rated speed and everything else. Why? Because the program got you there safely. The program's job is very simple. It's to get you from point A to point B. It's just doing what it's created to do. It's doing what you told it to do originally. And so right now, why is everybody working a job that they hate and won't get started in their career? Because the program's running you. It's saying, this is what you want. My job is to get you from point A to point B, which means this: you need to keep working the same job that you're working, and I'm going to make fear come up whenever you try to do something different, because that's not in the program. Now, how do we deal with the fear? Well, there's no way to get rid of it. We just need to make new associations, first of all, with what's coming up with fear. What is this? Why do I have fear about this? And because here's the thing. when my wife, we've had 3 kids, so we have 3 daughters. I feel like I was born to be a coach, and I was born to be a coach mentor, because it's funny that in our industry that it's, who we're working with, 85% of our coaches that go through our program, no knock on you guys, but women are dominating our industry. And I have 3 women that I've raised to be powerful women. One that's 22, she just got back from the Philippines. She's just crushing it in life. We have a 14-year-old, who's almost turning 15, and we have a 6-year-old. And so in life, in this whole thing, I just completely lost my train of thought. So we're trying to get from point A to point B. When my wife had 3 kids, and every one of her pregnancies, she had morning sickness that ended up being all-day sickness for the entire pregnancy. So she was sick the entire time. And they say, oh, it's normal. That means it's a healthy pregnancy. It's weird how you can say that being nauseated is normal and healthy. It's funny that when, as the months are progressing, we bought all kinds of weird pillows, serpentine pillows. Her shoes didn't fit. She hated the clothes. She didn't want to go outside of the house. She's sweating. There's all kinds of weird stuff happening. And here's the thing, is that it was normal, because we know that that's normal, that when a baby's coming, when a baby is about to come into life, it changes everything. And actually what it does is, at the same time that it's uncomfortable, it's making us want the thing that is going to come like 10 months later, right? So here's the thing. We've normalized those things. It's kind of like going on your first date. We normalize sweaty palms, the fact that you can't even say a sentence. Sometimes I can remember I went on a first date with this girl, and I literally drove my car into a ditch. I missed the entire turn and went straight into the ditch, and it was the most embarrassing thing in the world. Why could I not even drive a car? That's actually a good sign. That if there's nerves, that means that there's chemistry. Something's happening, something new. And if that chemistry is not there, then something is going wrong. So here's the deal. There's nothing wrong if you have fear. You're on to something. You want something. That's a good sign. But when we're pregnant, we associate it with a good thing. When we're falling in love with someone, we associate it with a good thing, because if I wasn't nervous and I didn't have sweaty palms, then I didn't have chemistry, and I don't want to see that person again. What we have to do is that when there's a little bit of fear in some of these things happening, transition means in your life is something good. Your programs don't like it because they're determined to keep you where you're at. But when there's transition, it's actually a good thing. You're growing, you're developing, and I need to start pressing into this thing. Rather than what a lot of coaches do when they feel these emotions come up, they shut down. They just go to more coaching and training because they think that maybe this will make me feel better. And because what a lot of people believe is that the more you know, the more you grow. That's false. You know what is the best teacher is its experience. So all of these things, let me pull them. How do I know that any parent who comes to me that's a little bit nervous or whatever, or new parent, or who wants to be a parent, who wants to fall in love and all these other kinds of things, and who wants to start a business, how do I know that they're going to be okay? Because I can't base it on feelings. I base it on experience. And I can't give you a book on how to know what to expect from a baby, because I can, but except that none of those things work out right. If you Google things, it'll scare you half to death. What is the greatest teacher? It's experience. A book's not going to deal with your fear, because that's not what's going on, because how-tos are not your problem. Problem is that you haven't had an experience. So what do I tell people to do? You need to get started. Experience is the greatest teacher. I still have nerves coaching people. Yeah, but they're out of excitement. And I've also noticed that the things that kind of come up aren't always fears, they're excitement. Same thing. When I used to play basketball, I'm nervous in every game. Why? I'm excited. And so I need to start dialing in. I need to start dealing with my programs, and I need to start dealing with my subconscious, and I can reprogram my subconscious. I can choose to do things in spite of the fact that I'm a little bit nervous and I have fear. Fear is a liar. We need to shut it down. And the best way to deal with fear is to do something that feels a little bit uncomfortable and start moving. And when you start moving, here's what I always find with our coaches. In Jumpstart, when people go and they have their first coaching session, even if it's a practice one, they come back and they're like, yes, this is what I was made for. I didn't do it perfectly, but I know I helped this person. They were crying. They were so excited about what they're stepping into in their life. This is what's on the other side here. And if I can live more into this, then the fear is over with. I just need to have that experience as quickly as possible. So get started. Experience is going to conquer that fear, and it's going to show that it's a liar. And then we'll reprogram it out of our own experiences. I will say at the same time that when there were belief systems that I had that are a little more crippling or bigger barriers, then I did some things. I did stuff like affirmations. I started confronting some of the things that maybe were still living in me. Not that I was broken or needed healing, but I needed to start seeing myself as a person who was in control. And so there would be a few things but I realized that I can do that. I can deal with those things. But the biggest thing is going to be once you get on this other side and you actually have the experience of helping some people, fear can't stand, because an argument can't in your heart can't stand against an experience. Experience defeats an argument every day, and that's the way that you silence those things. All right, we're in way big overtime here. Let's see. I just want to see if we had any final questions, and I'm going to look on the GoToMeeting thing before we head out really, really quickly. All right. Okay. I'm going to say that that's it. We went a whole hour. How did we do that? I only planned to do like 30 minutes. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. If you would like, and if you look in the chat widget right now, I'd love for your feedback on this thing and all of that. Any way that we can help you. I'm going to stick it on the screen really quickly. If you have not been to our website and you want to check out what we do, that's us. Don't forget the ilifecoachtraining.com. That is our website. You can get more information. You can enroll in our free course. You can sign up for email updates. We do things all week. You're on my Facebook right now. Like this page, share this video, because we go on Facebook a lot, and I share as much information and encouragement as we possibly can. And sometimes you'll see some of the most beautiful kids in the world, which are my own, that I post. But if we can be anything to you, again, life coach certification through our program is only $195. It's an amazing way to get that out of the way and get started on your coaching practice. If you need business development help, we have that covered. It's $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment, and it bundles with the life coach certification course. So you can do that. You can get started today. You can take steps towards that. I see all the thank yous that's coming from Resonating Purpose and Ken. I appreciate that so much. But any way that we can continue walking with you, we'd love to continue sharing this journey with you. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Send us some more comments. Hit us up via our website and email. But if we can get you enrolled today, we want to help you start doing that. Okay. Hey, have a great rest of your week and take care.